bring you some other world news now. And Israeli forces have shot dead a Palestinian teenager today during an arrest raid that led to clashes in a refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli military said gunmen opened fire first at its soldiers, who then shot back. For months now, Israel has been staging regular raids in the West Bank, with the army saying it is trying to stamp out militant groups. Dozens of people have been killed. Well, that latest violence this morning comes as the US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy visits Israel. He is a Republican and he is set to address the Knesset later on today. He'll be only the second House Speaker to address the Israeli parliament in the country's history. And his trip today comes as tensions are fraying a little between the Biden White House and Benjamin Netanyahu's administration. To tell us a bit more, our Jerusalem correspondent, Irris Makler, joins me live. And Irris, first of all, just walk us through McCarthy's agenda for today.
He's going to address Israel's parliament, the Knesset, in a very short space of time, actually, very soon this afternoon. And after that, he's going to hold a press conference. He has already spoken to one newspaper, a bit like Israel's Fox News, I guess. And he told them, he indicated that he's stepping into that simmering tension between Joe Biden's Washington and Benjamin Netanyahu's Israel. And we see that because of all the political crisis taking place inside Israel, which has come about because of the judicial reforms that this government is proposing, and which the government in Washington is fearful threatens Israel's democracy, which of course many of the protesters on the ground say too. As a result of that, there has been no visit by Benjamin Netanyahu to Washington, no invitation to visit. And what Kevin McCarthy said today is that he will invite Benjamin Netanyahu to Washington if Joe Biden doesn't. So you see Israel becoming kind of, I guess, part of the conflict between Republicans and Democrats on the Hill through this.
And Irris, as you say, McCarthy will speak pretty shortly at the Knesset. And that speech today comes as the Knesset is reconvening after a month-long recess. So I imagine then that fight in Israel over the judicial reforms, a really rather controversial battle that's seen protesters out in the streets across the country, will now be front and centre again in Israeli politics.
Yes, it depends who you listen to on that, by the way. The man who is behind it, Israel's Justice Minister, says it's full steam ahead. Israel's Prime Minister hasn't been as clear. He's got something else on his plate, which is passing the budget. That may not sound important, relatively speaking, but it's very important because if it isn't passed by the 29th of May, this government automatically dissolves and there's an election. So I think that will be part of what this the Knesset session will focus on. Then later, towards the summer, perhaps when the protesters will be tired of all of this, I think that's part of this agenda as well, then they will return to the judicial reform and we'll see whether it's full speed ahead or if they do work out some kind of compromise.
We'll see what happens. Irris Makler live in Jerusalem. Thank you very much.